Thank you for staying with us. We continue here. A recent United Nations report titled Conduct in UN field missions has revealed that South African troops deployed on foreign missions are at the top of the list, especially when it comes to the number of fatherhood claims. According to the report, 80 paternity claims involving South African military personnel have been forwarded in the past 15 years. Let's discuss this issue now further with my guest, Lunga Dweba, who's a Geopolitical Intelligence Advisory Director. Lunga, good to have you on the program this evening. Firstly, South Africa has topped the UN's paternity claim list for peacekeepers, as we heard in the intro. What key factors do you think contribute to this trend? And why has South Africa emerged as the leader, especially in this category?
Good evening, Tata, and greetings to the viewers. Well, Tata, maybe to create some context here, the SNDF, like any other militaries in the world, has a responsibility to train its soldiers, to have a combat-ready force for external missions, particularly. Now, South Africa is not different. It does the same thing. The four service arms train their soldiers before they are then sent to what is known as Joint Operations Division. Now, part of that preparation before soldiers depart to the mission area is the awareness that is created, including UN rules. Now, sexual exploitation and sexual abuse forms part of the rules that will be imparted into the soldiers before they move into the mission area. Then the responsibility of the country, therefore, is when there are violations to take action. And the numbers, therefore, why the numbers are high, I would say it is nothing other than South Africa taking its responsibility of holding soldiers into account when there are violations in the mission area. And that is what we see at this point.
Yeah, but the UN report highlights 80 paternity claims which do involve South African soldiers over the past 15 years. Could this be a reflection of broader issues regarding sexual exploitation or even abuse within peacekeeping missions, particularly in countries like the DRC?
Yeah. Well, as I go through the report, Nhlanhla, I see the numbers that are quite high, and I went through the analysis and the numbers. I was able to analyze up to 10 years, and the reflection in the report and the article that's written, you would notice that the investigations are still pending, to the extent that today there is no legal confirmation that indeed there is fatherhood, other than the accusations in the mission area. But you would not want them to disrespect the victims. In other words, the principle that is applied by the SNDF and the United Nations is victim focused. In other words, whether there has been clarity from the victim, the United Nations and the SNDF has a duty to take the accusations as they are to a point where they are reported to the true convicting country, which is the situation right now. Sanja?
But while South Africa, or the South African government, if you will, has dismissed these claims of widespread ill discipline, how do you view the tensions between political responses and the reality on the ground, particularly in relation to some of the stances held by political parties to this issue as well?
Yes. So, Tata, I paid attention to the responses from the minister, and how the minister responds to the questions in Parliament. In my view, it's nothing different from how a soldier or a commander on the ground would have responded. So the accuracy in how the minister responded, for example, the minister makes it very clear that the SNDF takes discipline very seriously. Now, from one's experience, at no point does the SNDF tolerate violations of human rights, especially those who are vulnerable in the mission area. But the perspective from other political parties, I don't think it is a surprise. That is what is expected from opposition parties, that will question up to a point where they conclude that there's widespread ill discipline in the SNDF, particularly in the mission area. So the accuracy, in my perspective, in how the response from the minister is not in question whatsoever.
Let's speak about issues around training. What do you make of the argument that South African peacekeepers are inadequately trained or ill-equipped for missions like those in the DRC? And how might this affect the behavior of soldiers, but also the outcomes of their deployments?
Yeah. So the training in the SNDF, as I indicated in the start of the discussion, the 4 service arms have a duty to train soldiers to a point where they are ready to deploy. But just before the soldiers then move into the mission area, there's a period of about 1 month where they are taken through all the rules of engagement and the rules of the deploying entity, in this case, United Nations.
Yeah.
But before even we get to that, there are joint exercises where the SNDF will collaborate with other countries' friendly forces, so that when they get into the mission area, they don't engage in activities with different understanding of what needs to be done. So the training, I am confident that work is done by the SNDF to prepare soldiers for deployment. In terms of, it's no secret that there are challenges financially. So the equipment, indeed, I mean, every commander that you speak to will make mention of this challenge, including the political principles. So that's a fact.
As we wrap, and also in your opinion, how effective are the current measures being taken by the South African National Defence Force, for instance, to prevent or even address sexual exploitation or even this purported abuse by peacekeepers? Do you believe there's a need for further reform?
Okay, I also have an understanding that the Military Disciplinary Code, the MDC, will not explicitly speak about sexual exploitation and sexual abuse. But as I say, when soldiers move into the mission area, in a sense, they become international civil servants, in inverted commas, meaning even though our domestic law will not necessarily make mention of SEA, but for the mere fact that they are part of the United Nations, they are then compelled to abide by the rules of the United Nations. And South Africa then as a country has no other option but to take the allegation seriously and investigate. And if you look at the report, you will notice that for each and every allegation that's there, South Africa is currently busy investigating all those allegations.
Thank you so much for your time, Lunga. That's Lunga Dweba sharing his insights. Speaking to us about the situation with South African soldiers and paternity claims in peacekeeping missions as well.